Welcome, everybody. It's Bradshaw Live. It is Thursday, April 23rd. And let me start by saying, let's get right into saying hello to the squad. Hopefully, we're out of quarantine soon. I don't know. Maybe another week or two, maybe 3 weeks here in New York. But hopefully soon we can get back to regular life, but do it safely. We don't want to do anything too early. That's my opinion, because if we do anything too early, we'll be back in quarantine a second time, which is the last thing anybody wants. And of course, nobody wants anybody to be sick. Let me say hello on Facebook. Janet, Doreen, Morris, Lucas saying, good afternoon, Brad. Katie and Plunkett, how are you? Marilyn Thompson saying, hey to everybody. Dionne Watson, welcome. And Therese Slater saying, squad up. Hello, Uncle Brad. Hello, Therese. Monica Law saying, hey, Brad, squad up, Monica. Isla Enats. Squad up, Brad and his team working from home. That's right. We're all working from home, and everybody's controlling all of this from basically their bed. It's crazy. Ma Daniels, hello, Uncle Brad, and squad up, everybody. Earth Angel Keisha, squad up, Uncle Brad. Barbara Bedward, Marcia McCalla, Dionne Watson. Yo-Yo is in the house. How are you, Yo-Yo? Squad up, family. Squad up, Yo-Yo. Janet Shorter. And she may have pre-comment of the day right now. Talk to Mr. Bernstein. You get real answers. Talk to the president. You hear it's fake news. Pre-comment of the day. Very good, Janet Shorter. Denise Johnson Green, squad up. Juliet Morris saying, good evening, Uncle Brad. Sammy Joe saying hello. Apple D saying hello too. I like that name. It's a cute name. Tigo Goodaz, squad up. Rosalie Smiths with a question. Monica Walker will saying hello. Rosalie, will get to you in a little bit. Mia Erodiaz Brooks saying hello. I've been watching over a year now. Congratulations. Welcome on your 1-year anniversary, Mia. You know how long I have been doing this? I've been doing this since 1999 in some form or the other. I was on radio. And I would do it on radio every day, the same exact thing. And then I did it on radio and social media at the same time. And now I just do it on social media. But I've been doing this now. I wonder when my anniversary is. I don't even remember when I started on radio. I know it was in 1999. My recollection, it was late November or early December 99. I actually was when I started on radio on a regular daily basis. I did radio shows before, but on a regular basis. I think it was like November or December 99. So I've had my 20-year anniversary, I guess. I'm on my 21. On YouTube, let me say hello to Sexy Shan Meyer saying, hey, Brad, squad and family. How are you? Yusef Halima saying hello. Angela Rawlings, squad up. Tanisha Jared Garth, squad up. Elisa Henry, how are you? Ja Love, what's going on? Back it up, Ricky. Good afternoon. Sandra Womack, what's going on? Lady Leah, Michelle Berry, D. Gore, Big Daddy, Bello Rima saying hello. Denise Johnson, hello, Uncle Brad, squad up family. Tanisha Barrett, 29 Super C. Big Daddy says he's a big fan and has a question. We'll get to you in a little bit. So the way this all works, folks, as you all know, this is pandemic quarantine edition. It's a shortened Bradshaw Live. I don't have my co-host Yo-Yo and Nesquik with me. They are also quarantining at home. So it's a shortened version of what the real whole Bradshaw Live is. But we try to answer as many questions as we can through our social media check-in. I'm doing Yo-Yo and Nesquik's job and my job. I ask the question and I answer it. We're not taking any calls, but you can call my office and you can get on my list. I have a list, and it's very true. My office sends me. It's called Uncle Brad's List, and that's what it's titled every day. And on my list, it's Uncle Brad's List. They give it to me. That's how they email it to me, and they give me a list of everybody I need to call. And I sit here right exactly where I'm doing my show. And I call everybody from my cell phone and I speak to everybody who needs to speak with me. But in order to get on my list, and you want to speak to me one-on-one and have a personal conversation with me, in order to do that, have a consultation with me, you have to call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-LAWLINK, 1-800-529-5465. 429-5465. Internationally, the number is +1 212-227-8933. I'm going to ask everybody if they like this show and love this show, two things. If you're not following and you're not subscribed on YouTube and you're not following and liking us on Facebook, do that now, because that way you're going to get a ding and a notification every time I come on live. If you don't want to watch, you don't have to watch, but at least you get notified when we are on live with Brad Show Live. With that, one other thing. We have Instagram. We started live on Instagram right before this whole coronavirus thing, but it's just too much for me to handle to go live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. It's just too many things in front of me. I would need more devices, and my brain could only handle so many devices in front of me. So we're not going live on Instagram, but you can still follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein. If you follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein, and I did not get a chance or an opportunity to answer your question, instead of yelling at me in capital letters, "Hey, Uncle Brad, you didn't answer my question," because I get that every day from somebody giving me the caps. Don't give me any caps. Drives me crazy, the caps. All right, yell it at me. Instead, just follow me on at Real Brad Bernstein. Drop me a DM. I'll be happy to answer it in my DM. You can also follow Brad Show Live. Brad Show Live. If you follow Brad Show Live on Instagram, you will see the best of me answering immigration questions, all of our best segments from Brad Show Live, not only from our pandemic quarantine version, but from the real Brad Show Live that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years on social media. You can also, if you want to get on my list, but you don't want to pay to speak to me, which I'm sure is a good deal. I mean, nobody wants to pay to speak to me, but somehow I gotta pay all the people who work for me. But if you want to get on my list and speak to me, but don't want to pay, the best thing to do is you follow at Brad Show Live. There is a post that we put up every week. Find that post that we put up every week that says, "Win a free consultation with Brad Bernstein." It's a $200 value, although right now, because of coronavirus and because we're home, I'm giving a discount on all the consultations. It's only $150, but it is normally a $200 value. And what you do is you follow at Brad Show Live, and then you like the post that says "Win a free consultation." There it is right there. Win a free consultation with Brad. And then tag 5 of your friends. And if you do all of that, next Wednesday, your name is going to be put into my scratchy old hat, Uncle Brad's old hat. It's a scratchy old hat, but it's still my old hat. And maybe I will pull your name out for a free consultation. We do that every week. In the meantime, what we also do, which I love to do, is recap what's going on in the world in something we like to call Schmoozing with Brad. So yesterday, which I'm sure everybody is anxious about, Donald Trump announced he had signed an executive order that temporarily suspends the issuance of green cards and a limit on immigration. He says that he's doing to protect American jobs amid the coronavirus pandemic. This executive, it's not a executive order, it's a memorandum, which was released shortly after Trump's announcement, applies to people who are seeking green cards outside of the United States. So if you are in the United States of America, it does not apply to you. So if you're filing for adjustment here in America, it does not apply to you at all. It also does not apply to anybody who is traveling on a non-immigrant visa. It only applies to people who are getting green cards. Now, he may change this, he may extend it, but at this moment, don't panic. First of all, if you are applying for a green card outside of the United States and you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you're a child under the age of 21 of a U.S. citizen, it also does not apply to you. If you've already gotten your immigrant visa but have not entered America, it does not apply to you. You can come. So who does this basically apply to? It applies to the F2A category, spouses of permanent residents, the F2B category, children over the age of 21 of permanent residence. It applies to married children in the F3 category of U.S. citizens. It applies to the F4 brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. It also applies to all of the employment-based petitions, your EB1, EB2, EB3, EW, your religious worker petitions, but it does not apply to Trump's cronies, who are the million-dollar investors into America. That they're allowed to come. It also does not apply to anybody applying for asylum who already was granted asylum or refugee status and is getting a green card somehow that way as well. Now, the distinction is important because an order that was limiting an adjustment of status application could have upended the lives of many people in this country, and then that would have been huge litigation. There's going to be huge litigation no matter what. There's going to be huge litigation no matter what. But my guess is that if it's only this 60 days, to me, it's not that big of a deal, simply because the country's closed down anyway. The embassies are closed down anyway. There's no planes coming. So even if he didn't sign this thing, nobody was really coming in the next 60 days anyway. The embassies aren't open to process cases right now anyway. So I think at this moment, it's more of a political ploy. It's more of a political ploy than it is a real change to what's going on in America with immigration. Now, if he extends it past 60 days, if he now changes something between now and the next 60 days, I'm going to change my mind. And I'm going to say, now he's affecting immigration. Now, I believe also, okay, my guess is that if it hasn't happened already, it is going to happen in the next few days. There are going to be massive lawsuits against the president for overreaching on what is basically what I would consider an illegal executive order. Now, people are saying, well, what is this executive order? I don't understand. What do you mean? He gives an executive order or Congress passes a law? What's the difference? Well, in the United States, the president acts as both the head of state and the head of government. And although the office gives its holder a tremendous amount of power, it does not grant the ability for the president of the United States to make a law. All the laws are made by Congress. Now, unlike the prime minister in a parliamentary system, like you would see in the UK and most of the democracies around the world, the US democracy is a little different. The United States president does not need to command a majority in the Congress in order to do anything. In fact, it's usually one or both houses of Congress are controlled by the opposing party. In this particular case, the Democrats control the House of Representatives, Republicans control the Senate, and Trump is a Republican. Now, Article 1 of the United States Constitution specifies that all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress of the United States. And the separation of powers was one of the guiding principles of the framers of the Constitution. They wanted to make sure that there was no king and not one person or one group of people would have power over another. So now the powers of the presidency were defined much less explicitly in the Constitution, leaving it to individual presidents to shape the scope of what their authority is. So in lieu of lawmaking abilities, presidents have used this executive order to promote their policies. Now, along with proclamations and memorandum, this is a proclamation is something that is done out for people to follow that are outside of the government. A executive order is something for the government to follow. But that is basically what the president's primary tool is to manage the federal government, these memorandums, proclamations, and executive orders. Now, in practice, there really doesn't mean much of a difference between the two. As I said, an executive order, you'll hear those terms. An executive order is for people, is a rule that the president makes for people to follow within the government. A proclamation is a rule for the general public to follow. Now, according to tradition, executive orders close with the president's name, followed by, quote, the White House and a date or month or day, the year in which it's done. Now, there's been a lot of famous proclamations that people who know even a little bit about U.S. history. The Emancipation Proclamation. That was a proclamation by Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves after the Civil War. He didn't ask Congress to do it. He just did it himself. And it's been used by Teddy Roosevelt. He used it more than 1,000 times. FDR during the Depression used it over 3,000 times. As a matter of fact, FDR was notorious for using it to authorize the forced relocation and internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. Most recently, President Obama used it to make the DACA program and the DAPA program. Now, if you remember, DAPA was overthrown. DACA, old DACA was kept. New DACA, not necessarily. And basically, it really goes down to this: if there is a law on the books that the president can say that he is managing this particular law, then presumably, and I'm giving a broad stroke, presumably that would be an executive power. If it is something absolutely new, then or a change in the law where he just refuses to enforce it, that would be something more in kin of needing to change a law in Congress. So the question becomes this: does the president have the authority to say, because there's a lot of jobs that people waiting in line and there's 20% unemployment right now, does he have the authority to say, now I'm going to stop immigration so people can have jobs here in America? I'm not sure. Now, you may say that may be a good policy. There's lots of people who say, I think that's a smart policy. Why should we bring more people into America and take my job away? That's what an American would say. But I don't believe that that is a lawful executive order. That would have to be something that would be done by Congress. If he were to say, I'm going to prevent people from coming in who have coronavirus, that would be something that the president can do. Why? Because Congress has already made a law that says the president can stop people who have communicable diseases. And it's up for the president to decide which communicable diseases. And he can make an executive order about that. So, we'll see ultimately what happens with all of this. If it's ultimately a 60-day thing and that's it, well, then I think it's just a political ploy for re-election in November to get his base all in a huff. Otherwise, if it's going to be extended, there's going to be major litigation, just like they had major litigation with DACA, just like they had major litigation with the Muslim ban, and there will be injunctions. This process with injunctions will go well past the election. Hopefully, the election will resolve many things in favor of immigrants, and we'll see how it goes. So right now, my advice to everybody is march forward. You're processing your papers, you march forward. You want to file your papers, you march forward. You're in the middle of processing. What should I do? Should I give up? No, you move forward. And then I had, should I file for my single son over 21? Yes. Why? Because it's going to take 7 years anyway. This will well be over in 7 years. You can't worry about what will be in 7 years. What about, could I file for my spouse as a permanent resident? Yes, it takes 1.5 years anyway. What if I've already done it? Keep processing. It's only 60 days. So that's my advice right now when it comes to that. Now, today also marks the start of the holy month of Ramadan for the Muslim religion. Ramadan, boy, tongue-tied there for a second. Ramadan starts on the evening of April 23rd and culminates on May 23rd. Now, over this 30-day period, Muslims fast during the daylight hours, a practice that is seen as one of the 5 pillars of Islam. They can eat before sunrise, break their fast after dusk, so apparently, while the sun is up, there's no eating. Now, Muslims believe that their holy book, the Quran, was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad during this holy month. Now, unfortunately for the Muslim religion, this is a huge time to go to the Islamic holy sites, the 3 main Islamic holy sites, Mecca, Medina in Saudi Arabia, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, but they're all going to be empty as a result of coronavirus. Now, for Muslims, a big part of the holy month consists of these special night prayers called and I may get it wrong, so I apologize, Tarawih, which are held daily at the mosque and performed by the imam, the mosque's prayer leader, but apparently now they will not be gathering at least in the major holy centers. So I say to everybody in the Muslim religion and those who are celebrating or recognizing it, Ramadan Mubarak, which is happy Ramadan to all who celebrate. As far as coronavirus is concerned, according to the Johns Hopkins University, over 2,682,200 people have tested positive for coronavirus globally. In the United States, more than 845,000 people have tested positive for the virus, and more than 47,000 people have died. It is now the leading cause of death, or one of the leading causes of death in the United States. It went from not even in the top 20 to one of the leading causes of death in the United States just in the last 4-6 weeks. Now, New York has, under Governor Cuomo, has started to test people to see how many people in New York have had coronavirus, because these Johns Hopkins University's, results, 2,682,000 people with coronavirus, those are people who actually took a test, stuck a thing up their nose, and it came back positive. But how many people have been walking around who've had it and have no idea they had it? Maybe they were a little sick, maybe they were very sick. Well, preliminary results released today show that New York State, because they did a random sample of 3,000 people, in New York State, 13.9%, almost 14% of the population has had coronavirus. They have the antibody in their system with coronavirus. What was most shocking about this, which just came out, is that although 14%, almost 14% of New York State residents, people who live in New York State, have had coronavirus, many of them never got treatment. Many of them never even knew they had it. 21% of people living in New York City, that's more than 1 out of 5 people, more than 1 out of 5 people who live in Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, have tested positive for the coronavirus antibody. Now, New York health officials have conducted this antibody test, as I said, with a sample of 3,000 people. The immediate results suggest that the death rate for coronavirus is not the 2 to 3%, but closer to 0.5% of those infected, because 15,500 New Yorkers have died of confirmed COVID-19. Now, there are many people who may have died of corona and nobody even realized, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So really, the percentages, nobody really even knows for sure at this point. But even if the percentages are just at 0.5%, and you say that this is a very, very infectious disease, and almost half the population will be ultimately getting it at one point or in time or another, you could still be looking at over 15 million deaths in the United States in the next year, which is a horrible, horrible number. Now, Governor Andrew Cuomo said that the results are an important indicator of the depth of the virus, and the death rate is probably higher than the results show, just as I said, because many people died and they didn't even know that they had coronavirus. Now, there are many deaths that have happened at home and not immediately tallied because they didn't occur at a hospital or a nursing home, as Cuomo said. And New York has about 19.5 million people. Now, Cuomo said it's all preliminary, and when we say there are 15,000 deaths, those numbers are going to go up. The results are telling in a little more ways. Females represented 52% of those tested, and 12% tested positive. Men represented 48% of those tested, but they tested 16% positive. So you are more likely to have coronavirus at this moment in time in New York if you are a man than if you're a woman. New York City has the most positive cases. It made up 43% of those who were tested. Westchester and Rockland County represented 10% of the total testing. The results showed that there's a trend. More than 90% of the deaths, confirmed cases, and hospitalizations have been in New York City, Long Island, and Lower Hudson Valley, which is Westchester, Rockland. The results also were consistent with other data that showed the disproportionate impact of corona on communities of color. Latinos represented 17% of those tested, yet 22% came back positive. African Americans represented 14% of those tested, but over 22% came back positive. And while 50% of white people were tested, their infection rate was only 9%. Now, the reason why nobody really knows what for sure how many people have died from coronavirus, because it just came out that a seemingly healthy woman's sudden death is now being considered the first U.S. coronavirus-related fatality. A 57-year-old Northern California woman who passed away on February 6th. She has now become the first known coronavirus death in the United States on February 6th. Patricia Dowd, she was a Bay Area woman who worked as a manager for a semiconductor company. The Los Angeles Times first reported Wednesday that Patricia exercised routinely, watched her diet, took no medication, completely healthy lady. Now, Rick Cabello, this lady's older brother, told CNN she didn't smoke, she was in very good health. Her sudden death was a shock to families, and they all thought it was a heart attack. The reason why they thought it was a heart attack, because it's now coming out that one of the ways that coronavirus kills is that it infects your lungs, and then you get a blood clot and an aneurysm, and you die from cardiac arrest. That is how coronavirus has been killing people. So California's Santa Clara County announced Tuesday that tissue samples confirmed 2 people had died in early February, tested positive for coronavirus well before the U.S. understood that even coronavirus was in America. Now, the county did not name the woman, but Cabello's family came out and said it was her. Now, before she was found dead, Patricia Dowd, on February 6th, she had flu-like symptoms, and then she started to appear to recover. 5 days before she died, Dad called her brother to tell him she couldn't make it to a family visit in Stockton, California. She also canceled plans to go to a weekend funeral. She started working from home as her condition improved, and she'd been in touch with colleagues at 8 a.m. And then she was found dead 2 hours later from a cardiac issue. Now, she had a history of foreign travel, but otherwise was a healthy person. So now people are starting to go back, and they're saying maybe people who had died of cardiac issues, maybe, and they were otherwise healthy back in February and early March, maybe those were early deaths from coronavirus. We don't know. In some news that is very disconcerting, a doctor says he was removed from pressing for rigorous vetting of coronavirus treatments because of Donald Trump. Now, this doctor led the federal agency involved in developing a coronavirus vaccine. He said yesterday that he was removed from his post. This is the head guy who was involved, the number one guy involved in developing coronavirus vaccine, removed from his post by the Trump administration after he pressed for rigorous vetting of, I love how Donald Trump says this. He says it very slow because I think he's concerned he's going to flub it. So he always says it like this: hydrochloroquine. He says it very, very slowly because he thinks he's scared he's going to flub it. It's hydrochloroquine, an anti-malaria drug. And this is what Donald Trump was saying. What do you got to lose? It can't hurt you. Go take it. 6 people got better in France. And then, if you remember, Dr. Fauci came and said, whoa, wait a second. It's all anecdotal. We don't know if this hydrochloroquine works. Well, Dr. Rick Bright, he was the guy who was let go from the coronavirus vaccine development, head of it. He was dismissed this week. His actual title, by the way, was the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, otherwise known as BARDA. So in a scorching statement, this is what he said. This is what the guy says. He says, sidelining me in the middle of this pandemic and placing politics and cronyism ahead of science puts lives at risk and stunts national efforts to safely and effectively address the urgent public crisis. I am speaking out because to combat this deadly virus, science, not politics or cronyism, has led the way. Doubts about the use of hydrochloroquine as a treatment for the coronavirus and the lack of evidence about the drug's effectiveness appear to have dampened Trump's enthusiasm and the Fox News enthusiasm over all of this. Because about a month ago, everybody on Fox News was saying, take it, take it, take it. It's the wonder drug. And apparently, people who have been taking it have not done as well as they thought. And trials suggest that it's not effective. In mid-April, a small trial in Brazil was actually halted because patients started getting irregular heartbeats. Then a study this week of 368 Veteran Affairs patients, which has not been peer-reviewed, found that it did not help patients avoid the need of ventilators. So we don't know what's going to happen with hydrochloroquine. New York State is now conducting a more scientific and thorough. It's amazing that New York and Governor Cuomo is taking the lead on coronavirus around the United States of America, along with the governor of California. So New York is actually conducting real scientific study on whether hydrochloroquine actually will work. And participants, this is how it's working. They started in early April. Participants will take the drug hydrochloroquine for 14 days. I'm going to ask them to stay in the study for 28 days. I'm reading what the study is, so we can follow them a little after they've taken the drug. And they're going to compare people who took hydrochloroquine versus people who didn't take it versus people who took it with the Z-Pack. And they'll figure out whether or not, at least in preliminary scientific study that has some scientific background to it, whether it's worth taking or not. So we will see. Meanwhile, I think we got to get to some of our immigration questions. I have a lot more news here, but I think we got to get to our immigration questions at this point. So this is the time when I'm going to ask you to put your comments in our comment section and ask your immigration questions, and I will be happy to answer them as best as I can. This is also the time when I am going to ask people on Facebook to share this with their friends and to start their watch parties, because you can tell your friends right now that I will be answering your immigration questions. On YouTube, there is a gray button right underneath my picture. And you take your thumb, or you put it on your mouse, or you put it on your touch screen, and you click it. And that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to turn it from 47 to 48 thumbs up. I'm also going to ask you to share this into your WhatsApp. If you share it into your WhatsApp, you can then send it to other people and tell them to go watch our show. You can also, both on YouTube and Facebook, if you don't want to do any of that, just make a very nice, intelligent, long, well thought out comment. Why? Because nice, intelligent, well thought out comments will push our feed to more and more people. And we really want to help as many people as we can. This show is like the tree that fell in the forest and nobody hears it. Every time somebody watches it, they're like, I'm hooked, I love it. We just got to get the word out. And with that, I am going to start on Facebook. I'm going to take my phone. I have all the comments on my phone here, and see what we have in something we like to call social media check-in. Maybe we don't have that. So I'm laughing to myself because I'm like talking to myself. Do we have that? I'm thinking Julie's in my ear. I'm so used to that. I got nobody in my ear. I'm by myself in my home. So let's see what our questions are today for immigration on my phone. Let's see. We got Rosalie Smits with the first question of the day. Hey, Brad. This is on Facebook. Hey, Brad, my I-130 has been approved and it was sent to the National Visa Center Department. The notice says they will make contact in 30 days. What documents the National Visa Center is going to ask for, and what's the next step after that? Well, you're going to have to, I assume you're in another country, and they're going to ask you for biographic data, police reports from every jurisdiction you've lived in since you were 16, affidavits of support, and as well as pay the fee bills. And if you need help, you can give me a call. Rosaline Graham Chipman. Hey, Brad, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm sick and tired of being in quarantine, but other than that, I'm doing okay. Rosaline Graham Chipman also has a question after asking how I'm doing. My I-751 has been in since last October. I did my fingerprint last November. Do you know how much longer the waiting period for the 10-year green card? Is it likely I might have to do an interview, or is Trump order that signed yesterday will affect anything? The Trump order that was signed yesterday has no effect on the I-751. You have to expect that an I-751 will take at least 18 months. If you did it as a joint application, maybe you won't get an interview. But if you did it as a divorcee or someone who was abused, you are absolutely going to get an interview. And most people get interviews, but sometimes on a joint application, you get waived. Monica Laws. My friend married to a veteran who was born in America. He's on Medicaid and food stamps. Can he file for her? Even if he is a veteran on food stamps and Medicaid, is going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Filing. Why? Because I'm so annoyed right now because my daughter keeps texting me. Stop it. Thank you. You're going to have a problem because this is what happens when you're in quarantine, folks. You're going to have a problem because you're still on a public charge. He's a public charge. So they're going to have to give me a call. Omar Halima, 26 Federal Plaza closed, or are they working right now? 26 Federal Plaza is working. They're not taking appointments at the moment. Kenny Sang with a question. Hi, Brad. Should you submit your medical exam with your adjustment or wait for the interview just in case it takes too long? I'm suggesting now to bring it at the time of the interview. Chantel, could I have the number to the office in Hartford? It is the same number whether you are calling my New York office or you're calling my Hartford office. The number is 1-800-529-5465, 1-800-LawLink. First Lady Leah, I am filing the I-45. Can I be my own affidavit of support? Do I also have to file the I-94 and I-865 easy? If you're a VAWA case, you don't need to do an affidavit of support. Otherwise, if you're the beneficiary getting the green card, you need the petitioner to do the affidavit of support. You can't be you doing it. Zara Bautista Lavelle. Hi, Brad. I'm Zara Bautista Lavelle. Nice to meet you, Zara. I have a question. It's about medical covered by my spouse is a U.S. citizen if ever we enter the U.S. to show I'm qualified about the medical covered. What? Let's try that one more time. Hi, Brad. I'm Zara Bautista Lavelle. Good. We got that so far. I have a question. Very good. So far, I got it. It's about medical covered. My spouse is a U.S. citizen if ever we enter U.S. to show I'm qualified about the medical covered. All right, so this is the story. I got to give that to my Facebook to English translation. And basically she's asking, will she need medical coverage if my spouse is filing for me as a U.S. citizen? And my answer to you is that based on the Trump new regulations, if you have medical insurance through your spouse, or your spouse can show that you can be included on his medical insurance when you arrive, that will go a long way to getting you above the poverty guideline, new poverty guideline rules that were put out by Trump. Rosalind Marson Davis. Good evening, Brad. Is a U.S. citizen child filing for a parent also exempt? From the Trump rule, no. U.S. citizen child filing for a parent, that is on the 60-day ban. Let's hope it doesn't go past that. You should continue processing your case. Hernandez Sammy. My wife has a history of cancer, which I'm sorry about, and she's 20 years and I'm 32. Wow, young woman. Can she sponsor my green card? Will the age difference be a problem? Again, can a VAWA applicant remarry when I-360 has not been approved? First of all, 20 and 32 is not such a terrible age difference, although she is a young woman. The fact that she has cancer is not a problem. She can absolutely sponsor you. Can a VAWA applicant remarry when the I-360 has not been approved? Yes, they can if they want to. Renorta Davis, what if you're an American? On a visa, can your parents file for you up there, or you have to go back to your home country? If you are over 21, and your parents file for you, you would be living in America legally for many, many years unless you find some non-immigrant visa to live here on. So if you're going to come here on a visitor's visa and you're over 21 and your parents are going to file for you, and that's all you're going to do and overstay after 6 months, you're going to be here out of status for a long time. So I think that's not probably the smartest thing in the world to do. Shelly Ann Dobney Tulloch. What if a person do all the paperwork and it's still pending, and then they receive a notice to appear in removal proceedings? That means they effed up the paperwork big time, because if you did all the paperwork on your own and the case is pending, and next thing you know, you get a notice to appear in removal, that means they put you in deportation, which means that you're doing everything absolutely, positively, 100% wrong. Because if you did it right, you wouldn't be put in deportation, which leads me to believe that you should never have done it on your own in the first place. Hire a lawyer. That's why you have me. 1-800-529-5465. If you think you're going to get out of the deportation, think again, because quite frankly, if you got yourself in there, you're not getting yourself out without a good lawyer. Abdullah Al Norman Shuva. I have a new card. It's been produced on a VAWA case after 20 months of waiting. Also, I filed my I-45 concurrently with the I-360. So what's RM? What does RM mean? What's next? You have to, well, you got your work permit based on the approved I-360. So you got the work permit as a C-31. Then you filed an adjustment. And now you should get another work permit based on C-9 adjustment. And then ultimately, what's next is you'll get an interview for a green card. Goldsmith Joseph. How much is required for a family of 4? Is $33,000 enough? You're talking about filing for an affidavit of support. Is $33,000 enough? You're really, really close. I think you're going to need a second affidavit of support. Katika Bogatti. What about the DV Lottery 2020? Right now, if you won the DV Lottery 2020, you are not allowed to come into America, which is actually really sad, because at the end of September, you can't come in on the DV Lottery anyway. So that's actually a real abuse of Trump's power, by stopping people coming from the DV Lottery, unless you already obtained your immigrant visa. If you obtained your immigrant visa, then you can come. It's just people won't be processed between now and the next 60 days. Cordella Douglas wants to know if this executive order affects VAWA. No, it does not affect VAWA. You will be able to complete your case if you are a VAWA filer. Asset Lindo. Brad, my niece filed for her 7-year-old over a year now. How long should it take to get her baby here from Jamaica? If she's a U.S. citizen, it shouldn't take much longer than that. Stargirl Mika says, Brad, I love the way you say Manhattan. It's my New York accent. Marilyn Thompson, what about continuing the process for I-601A waiver, the green card husband filing? Absolutely, because it's only a 60-day ban. The I-601A waivers take 9-10 months to get approved. By the time you're ready to go down and come back, there'll be a new president anyway. If this goes past 60 days, there's going to be major litigation against Donald Trump. There's going to be injunctions. Keep moving forward. All right, let's go and see what's going on YouTube. I have not said anything to YouTube in a while, so let's see what's going on YouTube. Tiffany has a question. What's a good explanation if your answer yes to the question on the I-45 if they ask you if you violated the terms of your visa? I overstayed the B2, married to a citizen, and now adjusting the status. The best answer to that is the truth. Because if you're married to a U.S. citizen, violating your visa does not bar you from getting a green card. So you answer, have you ever violated your visa? The answer is yes. They will say, how? I overstayed on my visa. That's how you answer it. End of story. It does not bar you from getting a green card. Voice of Janny, where is my answer? I don't know what your question is, voice of Janny. Please ask it again. 29 Super C. Just was commenting on hydrochloroquine. You ever see Trump say it? It's the funniest thing. Ahmed Masood. Mr. Brad, my wife filed an I-130 for me last year. Does Trump's new order affect my case as well? If your wife is a resident, it does affect it. If your wife is not a resident and she's a citizen, it does. You're fine, okay? Even if your wife's a resident, it's only a 60-day thing at this moment. So let's not all freak out. Ray M. My friend has a family of 6. She filed for her daughter in Trinidad. How much would she need to make to have a good affidavit of support? She currently makes $30,000 a year. That is nowhere near enough. She's going to need a second affidavit of support. Moth Suleiman. Brad, how are you? Again, I'm doing okay. Thank you very much. Except I'm a little cooped up in my apartment. I need to be able to go out and do things. But other than that, I'm okay. Thank you. And I think that's how most people feel. You know, most people are doing what they need to do. They're not happy about it. There's nobody happy about what's going on in the world right now. There's nobody walking around going, woohoo! But eventually we'll get back into the swing of things. Moth Suleiman. Is unsupervised probation affect good moral character for VAWA, not citizenship? Absolutely. Anything related to a criminal arrest and record can affect good moral scholarship. I'm saying good moral character. I don't know why I'm saying scholarship. Good moral character. Big Daddy has a question, and if he's truly is Big Daddy, I better answer this right. I don't want any guy Big Daddy. I'm giving him the wrong answer. I visited you on January and I saw my I-751 denied, and you said your case was not read by immigration. You are okay. Don't go for appeal. Go for NTA. I file NTA. I didn't get the date. April 26th, my green card would be expired. Okay. What I said was you had an I-751 denial. You didn't have any other way to file a new I-751. There is no appeal of an I-751. The appeal is before an immigration judge by going to a judge and renewing your application for the I-751 before a judge. So it's not don't go for appeal. There is no appeal. And if you were able to file a new I-751 under a new category, I would have suggested it, but apparently you can't. So your only option is to wait for the NTA and then fight your case out before a judge. If you haven't received anything from a judge, well, the courts are kind of closed right now because of coronavirus. Why don't you wait another couple weeks? And if you still haven't received anything by the end of May, then give me a call for a second consultation. Zohab Sunny. I did my green card, the IR1 visa interview in December 2019, and I was on administrative processing because of 221G. I sent all my documents. My wife is a U.S. citizen. I want to know what my visa is affected or not. I don't know why you're on administrative processing. Administrative processing is a catch-all for we want to review your case. So I'm not sure what documents you submitted, what they need to look at still. Perhaps your security clearances have not cleared. Perhaps there's a problem with the documents. I don't know the answer to why you're on administrative processing, but the consulate only has 120 days to make a decision. But for the fact now that the consulates are all closed because of coronavirus. So until they reopen, there's not a lot you can do. As far as the ban by Donald Trump, it doesn't affect you. Your wife's a U.S. citizen. Ricardo Guthrie. Brad, good evening. Is good conduct report being done now? I got an RFE in regards to my VAWA case to be done. Huh? Let's try that one more time. Brad, good evening. Is a good conduct report, there is a good conduct report being done now. I got an RFE in regards to my VAWA case for it to be done. Yes. So then as soon as you get the good conduct report, you submit it. Part of the VAWA, he gave me a statement, but I'm going to answer his statement. Part of the VAWA application is you have to prove you're a person of good moral character. You have to get a report from every place that you have lived from 16 on from that particular police department or authority or whoever is in charge of that particular jurisdiction to show that you don't have an arrest record and you're a person of good moral character. Janae Whitmore. Hi, I would like to know when will be the best time for me to file for my husband to come to the United States. We got married in January 20th, 2020. If you are a U.S. citizen, the best time is today. If you are a permanent resident, the best time is today. Until you file for him, he ain't coming. So start filing. That's the best. Dianaba Dior. Hi, Brad. Can I file my citizenship? I have 4 years and 9 months, or do I have to wait until 5 years? No, 4 years, 9 months, 3 days you can file. Go ahead. Century Media TV. I got a mail today from my school that I have to refund the stimulus payment because I am a J2 dependent. How do I go about this? You have to call the IRS. Ray M. My friend has a family of 6. She filed for her daughter in Trinidad. How much would she need to make to have a good affidavit of support? She currently makes $30,000 a year. As I said, that is not enough. She's going to need a second affidavit of support, but for a family of 6, she's got to be, for a good one, she's got to be well over $75,000, $80,000 for a good one. For one that'll just be sufficient, at least $45,000 in that range. Frenchie boy. Hi, a friend sent T-forms on June. I don't know what T-forms. Okay, well, we'll find out. Hi, a friend sent T, because T visa is for people who were trafficked in sex trafficking victims. But I don't know, maybe, is that what he's talking about? I'm not sure. Let's find out. Hi, a friend sent T-forms on June 2019, but after an RFE, the I-130 was accepted. Okay, so it was not about sex trafficking. It's about an RFE. Was accepted on February. He got his EAD. Any idea when the interview could be ready in normal circumstances? In normal circumstances, after the RFE is submitted, the interview is about 8 to 10 months from now. All right. Frenchie asking the same question 7 times. I see it now, Frenchie. Pradakika. So I was supposed to be going to the office this year with my mom, but because of the pandemic, I haven't gotten any call or email from my paralegal saying anything, no update or nothing. And what you need to do is call my office, 1-800-529-5465. Tell them your name, and we will make sure that a paralegal and a lawyer calls you back and gives you an update. That's simple. Suna. I have to use an adoption service provider, an adoption home study organization to adopt my niece from Sierra Leone. They told me a personal lawyer is not part of that process. That is true. The personal lawyer is not part of the process, but the personal lawyer is the one who organizes the entire process. So without organizing the entire process, you're left to drift on a boat by yourself. So you generally would need a lawyer to correspond with the home study people, with Sierra Leone, so that they can make sure that the parents are stripped of their parental rights if the parents are alive, and then do the 600 forms, which are the adoption forms. So that is not true in the sense that, yes, the lawyer is not going to do a home study in your home, but a lawyer is going to help you organize it all. So for them to say you don't need a lawyer, I think that is bad advice. Bullion Novus. Assuming an approved I-601 waiver won't allow admission back into the U.S. after visa is approved during this time. Well, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, it will. And Zohab Sunny, I already answered that question. Richard, which is, it will not be affected. Trump's proclamation will not affect you because you're married to a U.S. citizen. Richard Botang, how long does it take to renew your 10-year green card? It takes about 3 to 4 months right now. Let's see what's going on Facebook. Laverne Parker. I filed for my kids and they got their date for the interview, but the date did fall in time when the embassy closed. They did all their medical and was just waiting on the and was just waiting on the interview. Is this going to be a problem for them? If they're over 21, the 60-day thing will be a problem, but the embassy's closed anyway, and let's hope it doesn't go past that. Asset Lindo, Brad, your hair can be braided soon. I really hope so. I don't have a lot of hair, so if you can braid my hair with the little hair I have, I would be thrilled. Carrie Ann Forster, Brad, that beard's looking good on you. Thank you very, very much. Linda Shaw, St. Lucia. She just wants to let everyone know that St. Lucia is a small island in the Caribbean. They got 15 cases, and all 15 is corona-free today. That's the news coming from there. Well, that's fantastic. I was in St. Lucia last year. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. Rosalind Graham Chipman. The problem is this, Linda Shaw. Okay, 1 out of 5 people in New York are walked around with coronavirus and didn't know it. Okay, so there's lots and lots of people walking around who have no idea they have it. So what St. Lucia has is, of the people who have been tested with coronavirus, they're all free of coronavirus. That doesn't mean that no coronavirus exists there at this moment. I hope it doesn't, though. Rosalind Graham Chipman. Hi, Brad. Does this order that Trump signed going to affect my I-751? No, it will not. Richard George. Hi, Brad. Will this inspection affect parents of U.S. citizens? Yes, it will. Brad, if someone who is over 16 is getting Social Security, can he get married and file for his wife? Yes, getting Social Security is not need-based assistance. Cordella Douglas, I love you, Uncle Brad. Such an amazing man. Blessings to you. Off to this super lawyer. Thank you very much, Cordella. That could be comment of the day. Oh, I lost my place. Let me go back. Lost my place. Let me go back. I still lost my place. Let me go back. Oh my gosh. This is what happens. Where did I lose my place? All right. Well, let's start. Let's start with Nasheen Saeed. Hello, Brad. My husband filed my I-130 for me, and I've received a date for the interview at the UAE embassy, but unfortunately the embassy was closed at the time. Please let me know if the ban is applicable for me. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, the ban is not applicable to you. If you are married to a resident, it is. Either way, the embassy is not opening for another 60 days. So ban or no ban, you wouldn't be going into the embassy until August, September, October. Candy Bennett. I'm applying for I-539 extension. I lost my place again. Why does this happen every so often? So strange. Where's Candy now? Oh, here it is. All right. Candy Bennett, I'm applying for my I-539 form for extension because of the COVID-19. How long should immigration extend the time if granted? 6 months, but they're going to wait months and months before they give you a decision. As long as your application is in before your expiration of your I-94, you're okay. Simone Dodd Reynolds. Hey, Brad, my husband filed for my kids in Jamaica. Both are under the age of 21. My husband is a U.S. citizen. It's 8 months now. All now the I-130 doesn't prove. Is that normal? It's sometimes taking 9, 10, 11 months. It's not fair, but it's kind of normal these days. Clifford Gordon, do not face immigration court pro se unless your case is a slam dunk. Contact Uncle Brad. Top fan, Clifford Gordon, with the best advice of the day. That is absolutely true. Abdullah Al-Noman Shuvo. Thanks, Brad. So my I-360 is approved and going to get green card. Is that right? That's what you answered me? I believe so. If you filed the I-45 and you asked, that was your question, you asked what's next, that was my answer. Correct. Kane Anthony Setliff. Let's see what his question is. Hey, Brad, I'm a U.S. citizen and got married last year. My wife and her daughter are here on visiting visas. Is it okay to apply for it in number before we send in paperwork for an IT number before we send in paperwork for change of status? You don't really, yeah, you can apply for a tax identification number by filing a tax return with your wife. But the reality is, if she's been here for more than 90 days and her daughter's been here for more than 90 days, just file the adjustment and she'll get a work permit shortly thereafter with a Social Security card. Sasha Ford, also with a comment of the day. My advice is that everyone should use Uncle Brad's service before you need it. Trust me, they will help you and ease you all your worries. All I had to do was to submit everything they asked for and then just show up to my fingerprint and then my interview and then collect my 10-year card. I am barely married 3 years. Well, congratulations, Sasha, and thank you for the wonderful, wonderful review. I appreciate that. And by the way, the telephone number to call me if you want to get on my list. Remember, I told you there's a list. So this is how it works. You call, you get on my list. I call you tomorrow. So you call and you say, I want to be on Uncle Brad's list. Set up a consultation. The telephone number is 1-800-529-5465, 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465 outside the United States, +1 212-227-8933. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to answer every last question that comes across our Facebook and YouTube feeds. There's just too many. I'll lose my voice soon. So if I didn't answer your question, you could always follow me on @RealBradBernstein on Instagram. Drop me a DM. I'll be happy to try to help you answer as best as I can. You could also follow @BradShowLive on Instagram to get the best of our content, as well as enter yourself in our free consultation giveaways every Wednesday. Vanessa Etheridge has a question. When renewing your category C9 EAD, do you have to pay the filing fee or is it waived again? It's usually waived again. Lisa Bling Rose, please share. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Galib Doze, hello, Brad. I am divorced. I work as a medical technologist. I submitted my I-751 January 2019. My conditional green card expires 2019 in June. I received a request of evidence saying that I applied 140 days late, and therefore I don't qualify for the waiver. You have to request a permission to file a late I-751 with a very good reason. I think you should be calling me right now so you can avoid getting put in deportation. Simone Dodd Reynolds, my husband filed for my kids in Jamaica. Both kids are under 21. It's now over 8 months. They didn't get approved yet. Well, it's going to be about 12 or 14 months or so. Unique Terry Unique. Hi, Uncle Brad. I saw on the news the government put a ban on immigration. Can you explain? Rewind to the beginning of the show. Unique Terry Unique. I did already. Sia West. Hi, Brad. I entered the country in someone else's name. I married a U.S. citizen. I have a pending adjustment and waiver, but my spouse died. What can I do? It converts to a widow petition, and then you're going to need to show hardship to yourself. So you need to change that waiver around because before it was hardship to your spouse. You need to come and see me. Bucare Drummer. Hi, Brad. Does the medical form I-1693 need to be sealed when I bring it to the interview? Yes, do not open it. If it's opened, you will be denied. The Stargirl Mika wants to know everyone to know that this show is for information and promotional services only. If you already hired Spar and Bernstein and have a problem, contact your attorney, not the show. Thank you. Exactly. Marie Brown. Hi, Brad. I asked you this question before, but what I want to know, I filed an I-130 for my daughter here in the U.S. under 21, 6 months now. How long is the process? It takes about a year. And Linda Shaw also with the comment of the day. Everybody in the squad's protecting me. And by the way, I love it. I love when the squad protects me. It's great. Linda Shaw, guys, take your time with our genius. He's alone, and please don't go anywhere else, for he is the best lawyer in the USA. Well, thank you. I love how everybody protects me. I feel very protected by the squad, so thank you very much. What do we have here on YouTube? Osmain Tonkara says, hello, Brad. A friend was denied a non-immigrant visa 2 months ago at the U.S. consulate under 214B. She was visited the U.S. twice and has never overstayed. What could be done to resolve? I'm not sure off the top of my head what 214B is. Is it basically that she has probably an immigrant intent? She would need to speak with me, and I would need to know how long she stayed in the U.S. because if she visited and she came for 6 months and then went home and then came back a short time later for 6 months and went home, then they're going to presume that she has an immigrant intent. So if she stayed for long periods of time, that's a good reason to deny her visa again. She would have to show that she has a job back home, property back home, family back home, something that would, like a magnet that would bring her back to her home country. Bennett Shore Maycock. Hello, Brad. I hope you're doing well. Can adjustment of status to F2A category be done once USCIS opens? Yes, if you're in legal status or you are 245I. And finally, the last question of the day today, Navneet Singh, unemployment insurance. Is that a public charge for immigration? How does USCIS determine that unemployment insurance is a public benefit as I'm eligible to claim this. Unemployment insurance is not a public, is not it is a public benefit, but it is not a need-based public benefit. So that is the difference. So when you look at a public benefit that you get from the government, like a stimulus check, like unemployment, that's going to everybody who makes $150,000 or less. Unemployment, you can make $1 million a year and still collect unemployment. So it's not need-based. It's based on whatever anybody's income is from 0 to $1 million. Need-based government assistance is a reason to deny you. That means you would only qualify if you're below the poverty level. Food stamps, Medicaid, things of that nature. Thank you all. We will be back tomorrow. As I said, don't freak out with the pumpkin. It's only a 60-day thing. And I think if it gets extended beyond that, there's going to be injunctions. Courts are going to stop it, just like they did with the DACA. And DACA went on for years. So what I want everyone to do right now is not freak out. March forward with your immigration case. File your immigration case. Keep processing your immigration case. We're also going to have an election in November. And right now, Trump's approval rating is at 35%. And I've never heard of a president winning an election with only 35% of the vote. So hopefully that approval rating continues to stay down. With that said, please be safe. Please continue to social distance. It is our only tool that we have right now, unfortunately, social distancing. It's the only tool we have right now to prevent mass infections and mass death. I want everyone to stay safe. And of course, if you do need to reach me, my telephone number is 1-800-529-5465. Internationally, it's 212-227-8933. You could drop me a DM on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein if I didn't answer your question. You can follow us at Brad Show Live. If you're watching this show right now and you have not subscribed, subscribe right now. On Facebook, you like and follow. So like and follow right now on Facebook. So every day we come on live, you'll be notified. And if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe to YouTube right now. And by subscribing, you will also be notified that we're coming on live. So please subscribe both on YouTube and Facebook. And with that, I do have to say that prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. This has been an attorney advertisement. And as I've been doing every day in pandemic quarantine pop-ups, I've been saying goodbye in different languages. So today I will say goodbye in Japanese. Sayonara.